Before we begin, welcome to the new members of the channel. Are you one of those players who loves flying across the map, always showing up where the enemy least expects you? Then mobility-based junglers are your best friends. These heroes are built to move fast, rotate quickly, and punish enemies who are out of position. But here's the truth. Just being fast isn't enough. If you don't know how to use that mobility wisely, you'll just end up running around the map doing nothing. Today, I'll guide you on how to actually play mobility-based junglers the right way. There are some heroes like Fanny, Lancelot, Ling, and more, who has the most mobility and rotations around the map with ease and very fast. And among them, I think Fanny and Ling are those heroes who has the highest mobility in the game. And sorry guys, I cannot play Fanny till now, as you all know that I just started learning her. But maybe I'll learn her in course of time. So till then, watch my Ling gameplay. So here I'm going to give you 5 tips how to use mobility-based heroes with a perfection and efficiency. So let's start the tips. Tip number 1 is about early game. In the early game, mobility junglers have one huge advantage, which is speed, of course. You can move around faster than most heroes, which means you can control the pace of the game if you play smart. The first thing you should focus on is clearing your jungle camps efficiently. Don't waste time walking in circles or waiting. Plan your route before the game even starts. For example, if you start from red buff, then you should already plan that. After finishing it, you'll head to your next buff, then to the crab, and then possibly to a lane for a potential kill. And if there's no any possibility of kills, then don't just keep waiting and instead go to another lane to farm your small creeps. Or you can even steal enemy creeps. Because of your high mobility, you should never just farm aimlessly. Every second matters in the early game. After clearing a camp, ask yourself, what's my next best move? Sometimes it's to secure the crab before the enemy jungler gets there. Other times it's to quickly rotate to a lane where the enemy has overextended. Even if you don't get a kill, just showing up can give pressure to the enemy and give your teammates a breathing room. The most important mindset in the early game is simple. Don't be idle. A slow jungler might need to farm longer, but you don't. Your strength comes from moving constantly, applying pressure, and making the enemy guess where you will appear next. If you waste your mobility by farming too long, you lose the one thing that makes your hero special. So now let's go to another tip. The tip is about invade and pressure. One of the biggest strengths of a mobility jungler is how quickly you can move into the enemy jungle and back out safely. Invading is not just about stealing buffs. It's also about putting pressure on the enemy jungler so they feel behind from the very start. The first thing to understand is timing. Don't just run into the enemy jungle without thinking. Watch the map. If you see the enemy jungler clearing the top side, it means their bottom side camps are free for you to invade. Because you move faster, you can slip in, take their buff or small creeps, and leave before they even arrive. This slows them down while you stay ahead. But remember this, that invading doesn't always mean fighting. You don't need to kill the enemy jungler every time you enter their jungle. Sometimes, just stealing one camp or forcing them to waste time chasing you is already a big win. As a mobility jungler, your goal is to annoy them and make them fall behind. Think of it like this, like every second they waste searching for you is a second you're gaining more farm or creating opportunities on the map. Still, you need to be smart about it. If your lanes are losing and the enemy mid or roamer is missing, then invading is dangerous because you'll get trapped. Always check the minimap before you go in. If your teammates have lane control, that's your green light to invade confidently. If not, it's better to just secure your own jungle and look for safer pressure like ganking easy targets. Another way to apply pressure without risking too much is by showing yourself in their jungle. Even if you don't steal anything, just your presence forces the enemy to react. They might panic and call their teammates, giving your team free space on the map. That's the beauty of mobility junglers, like, you don't need to always kill to be effective. Sometimes the threat alone is enough to break the enemy's rhythm. So the main rule is simple. Just invade when it's safe, steal what you can, and get out quickly. Don't get greedy. The longer you stay in enemy territory, the higher the chance of getting collapsed on. Use your speed to dip in and out, and over time, you'll slowly choke the enemy jungler out of the game. So before going to the next tip, please like and subscribe because, again, 83% of viewers aren't subscribing. So if this is helpful, then consider subscribing and liking. I won't disappoint you guys. Now, let's go for tip number 3. The tip is rotations and ganking lane. Rotations and ganks are where mobility junglers truly shine. Unlike slow junglers, you don't have to spend forever farming or walking between lanes. Like, you can appear suddenly and strike fast and disappear before the enemy even understands what happened. But here's the key. Don't rotate just for the sake of rotating. Every move you make should have a reason. Ask yourself, what can I gain by going here? If a lane is pushed by your team and the enemy is stuck under their tower, then ganking that lane might not work. But if you see the enemy overextending, then pushing too far without backup is your golden chance. When you rotate, always take the shortest and safest path. Use your mobility skills to move through the jungle and avoid being spotted by enemy vision. The less the enemy sees you on the map, the scarier you become. Sometimes, you don't even need to gank the lane. Just showing up in a lane makes the enemy panic, play safer, and lose farm. That's pressure without even fighting. For ganks, timing is everything. Don't rush in at full HP enemies with all their spells ready. Instead, wait until they waste a key ability, or until your laner is ready to follow up. As a mobility jungler, you're not just fast, but you're explosive as well. Dive in quickly, deal damage, and either secure the kill or force the enemy to use their flicker or escape skills. Even if you don't get the kill, you've created a window for your team to dominate that lane. Another big advantage of mobility junglers is that you can gank multiple lanes back to back. For example, you finish helping mid, then immediately dash down to bot for another fight. This keeps the enemy guessing, and they never know where you will appear next. That unpredictability is your greatest weapon. But don't overdo it. If you rotate too often without success, you'll fall behind in farm. Balance is important. Clear your jungle first, then rotate. Think of it like this, like you're farming while hunting at the same time. Every gank should either give your team a kill, force the enemy to recall, or secure an objective like turtle. If none of these are possible, it's better to farm instead of wasting time. So the rule is simple. Just rotate with purpose, gank with timing, and always use your mobility to be unpredictable. A mobility jungler isn't strong because they're fast, they're strong because they know exactly when and where to strike. Now, tip number 4 is mid-game. Once you enter the mid-game, the role of a mobility jungler changes. Early game is about farming, invading, and creating small advantages. But in the mid-game, your job is to spread fear across the map. You need to play like a shadow, like always moving, never letting the enemy know where you will strike next. This is the stage where team objectives like turtle, towers, and map control become more important. You should constantly move between lanes and jungle camps, not staying in one place too long. If the enemy sees you farming bot side, immediately think about moving to mid or top to make them second guess their safety. Your mobility allows you to rotate faster than any slow jungler, so use that to put constant pressure everywhere. The beauty of mobility junglers is that you don't even need to fight all the time. Sometimes, just disappearing from the map makes the enemy panic. They'll play safer, back away from towers, and even waste time placing wards. That's your shadow effect. They know you can appear at any second, so they never feel safe. When choosing where to move, always think about 2 things. Number 1, where is the enemy hyper? If they're top, you can pressure bottom or mid. And number 2, which lane is easiest to punish? Target lanes where the enemy has no escape skills, or where your teammates can easily follow up. Another key part of mid-game is controlling vision. As a mobility jungler, you can slip into bushes, clear wards, and make the enemy blind. Once they lose vision, your rotations become even deadlier, because they have no idea where you LIL strike from. You should also be focusing on objectives. Don't just chase kills. Use your fast rotations to secure turtle, help your team push towers, or steal jungle camps on both sides of the map. Every small advantage stacks up and keeps the enemy behind. Most importantly, avoid wasting time. A mobility jungler that farms too long in the mid-game is basically throwing away their strength. So remember this, in the mid-game, don't be predictable, don't show up in the same lane twice in a row. Keep moving, keep rotating, and make the enemy feel like you're everywhere at once. That's how you turn your speed into true map control. Now, tip number 5 is about team fights. In the late stages of the game, most fights will turn into big 5v5 team battles. For a mobility jungler, this is where you need to be smart, because unlike tanks or bruisers, you can't just charge in and soak damage. Your real strength is your speed. Like, you get in fast, deal damage, and then get out before the enemy can react. This is what we call hit and run. The most common mistake players make is diving straight into the middle of 5 enemies and expecting to survive. That's not your job. As a mobility jungler, your target is clear, the enemy backline. These are usually the marksman mage or any squishy hero who deals a lot of damage but has a very weak defenses. They are the heart of the enemy team, and your mobility makes you the perfect assassin to reach them. Here's how you should approach a fight. Number 1, stay hidden before the fight starts. Position in the jungle or bushes so the enemy does not see you. Number 2 is wait for your tank or initiator to start the fight and draw attention. Number 3, once the enemy uses their key crowd control skills, that's your signal. Dash in quickly, eliminate their core damage dealer, and then escape using your mobility skills. If you fail to kill them in one go, don't stay too long. Retreat, reset, and wait for your cooldown. The beauty of mobility junglers is that you can weave in and out of fights. Unlike slow heroes, you can leave and rejoin multiple times, always striking when the enemy is weakest. Also, remember that you don't always have to go for kills. Sometimes just diving the backline and forcing the enemy marksman to run away is enough to win the fight. If their main damage dealer isn't attacking, your team already has the upper hand. Also, one big tip: never start the fight first. If you reveal yourself too early, the enemy will lock you down and your team loses its biggest weapon. Instead, be patient. Teamfights aren't about who attacks first, but about who attacks at the right time. So, in charge, stay hidden, wait for the right moment, strike the backline, and then dash out. Repeat this until the enemy has no more damage left. That's how mobility junglers dominate team fights. Not by brute force, but by precision, speed, and perfect timing. So at the end, mobility-based junglers aren't just about speed, they're about timing, map, awareness, and making enemies feel like you're everywhere at once. If this helped you, make sure to hit that subscribe button, because I've got more guides coming that'll turn your jungle play into a nightmare for your enemies. See you in the next one.